Welcome, everybody, to Before the Score, episode 19. And this is your 2020 NFL Draft Special. Now, in this draft special, you will see picks from all teams, including some picks from your very own Before the Score members. Now, this is just a mock draft. So remember, things could always change in the real world. But in our Before the Score world, this is what we have going down. Now, the Cincinnati Bengals are on the clock, and they have the number one pick.
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez. And for this pick, I want to bring in a very special guest. I have the king of Tigers himself, Mr. Joe Exotic, with me to make this pick. Now, Joe Exotic, he's become kind of an internet sensation, but the Cincinnati Bengals are going to select somebody who is a sensation in his own right. And they're going with quarterback Joe Burrow from LSU. Joe Burrow, I believe he will be a superstar in this league. He is the best quarterback prospect since Cam Newton and before him, Andrew Luck. And I think he has a chance to be better than both of them. Joe Burrow, best quarterback prospect by far on this board, I believe. This guy is going to be a bona fide superstar and make the Bengals great again. Joe Exotic, thanks for joining me for this pick. Back to you, Commissioner Hernandez.
Well, that was a very, very, very shocking pick, Mr. Samra. Now, I have to go to the Redskins. They are second, and they have the second pick, and they are now on the clock.
I don't know how I can match that first pick. That was really shocking. I think I have to go just as surprising with the second pick. With the second pick in the NFL draft, the Washington Redskins will select Chase Young out of Ohio State University. He is the best player on the board. He's the best player in this draft at any position. So don't overthink it, Redskins. Don't trade out of the pick. Don't draft Tua. You have Dwayne Haskins. Just roll with the best player. You can't go wrong with Chase Young.
Wow. What an exciting pick, Andrew. And now we have the Detroit Lions with the number 3 pick. They are now on the clock. Let's hear it.
Thank you very much, Commissioner Hernandez. Appreciate that. So this is a mock draft, and we're not doing any trades. So the Lions are in a position here where there should be some teams calling on draft day about moving up to that third pick because, as you know, quarterback is always the most important position to get. So there will be some teams trying to trade up. But for right now, I have the Lions taking the cornerback from Ohio State, Jeff Okudah. It's a glaring need. I mean, you have the best cornerback in the draft by far, Jeff Okudah. You have Darius Slay moving on to the Philadelphia Eagles after he got traded away from the Detroit Lions. It's their biggest need right now, cornerback. You're getting a lockdown cornerback for future years. No brainer for the Lions if they're not in position to trade this pick, Jeff Okudah.
Wow, Dan, that's a very exciting pick. And now I know this next pick is a pick that all you guys, especially you, Mr. Steve Samra, you've been looking forward to this pick for a few years. Now, I'm going to go to the New York Giants. They have the 4th pick, and they are now on the clock. Let's hear it.
I'm wearing my Giants blue to make this pick for the New York Giants. And for this pick, I'm going to go to a very secretive place, a place where technology is not the strong suit. I am in Dave Gettleman's draft lair for this pick. Dave Gettleman will join me for this pick. He is in control of this pick. And with this pick, the first thing he said when he became the general manager of the New York Giants is he wanted to fix the offensive line. I do think the Giants will try to fix the offensive line in this draft, so I have them taking my personal favorite, the best offensive lineman in this draft, Mr. Jedrick Wills Jr. from Alabama. I think Jedrick Wills Jr. will be a fantastic addition to the Giants. He will open up running lanes for Saquon Barkley. He will protect Daniel Jones. And I think Dave Gettleman, this man right here behind me, he will look like a hero after this pick. In a couple of years, the Giants will be running the NFC East with that offensive line running on all cylinders because of Jedrick Wills.
Wow, Mr. Steve Samra, that was an awesome pick and so unexpected by the New York Giants. Now for the next pick, I'm going to go to pick number 5, and I got the Miami Dolphins. They are now on the clock. Let's take it away.
The fact that there's no trades in this mock draft make this kind of questionable. If the board does shake this way, this is a slam dunk pick. This is exactly how the Dolphins and their fans want the board to fall. At number 5, the Miami Dolphins will take Tua Tagovailoa. Don't mess this up. He's your quarterback. He's your guy. He's easily, I think, the second best quarterback in this draft. There's red flags about his health, and if he can withstand a full season, because he's been hurt a lot in college. But, I mean, the talent's there. So Dolphins have a huge need at quarterback. They have a bunch of picks to address other positions later in the draft. They can easily take Tua here and still bolster their roster. Don't screw this up, Miami. Take Tua Tagovailoa.
Well, it's a great take, Andrew. Obviously, if you guys have been watching before the score these last few weeks, you know that Tua has been a great a great topic of discussion these last few episodes. Now, for this next pick, I know there's somebody out there who's very excited. We got pick number 6. We got the Los Angeles Chargers. They are now on the clock.
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez, once again. Like I just said with my previous pick, the Detroit Lions, this is the Los Angeles Chargers. And these two teams could be calling each other on draft night because the Los Angeles Chargers here are their number one quarterback on their board since Joe Burrow isn't on their board. They know he's gone by a long shot, is Justin Herbert. And they could be moving up to the 3rd pick with the Detroit Lions to go and get him. But if he's right here, this is a dream scenario for the Los Angeles Chargers, taking Justin Herbert here. He is a raw prospect. He's going to have to take some time to develop. But you have Tyrod Taylor. You have a very good offense and defense. Your whole team is structured very well, a great roster. So Justin Herbert having time to develop behind Tyrod Taylor. If it's not going right, then you can put him in towards the end of the season. But Justin Herbert right here is their guy, and they're definitely going with him if they don't trade up.
Wow, what an exciting pick. And you know what? For this next pick, we got pick number 7. We got the Carolina Panthers. Let's see where they go. They are now on the clock.
As you see behind me, I have millions of dollars because the Carolina Panthers have been spending money like they have money to burn this offseason. They brought in Matt Rule for $60 million, but this time it pays off because the money pick is Isaiah Simmons. They fall right into their lap. And Pablo, make sure you call this one an awesome pick because this will be an awesome pick for the Carolina Panthers.
Well, Steve, that at the end of this draft might not be a spoiler. It might just be a prediction or the other way around. Depends on how you look at it. But I'm going to tell you right now, we got pick number 8. We got the Arizona Cardinals. Let's see where they go. They are now on the clock.
Now, before the NFL year started and free agency started and there was a ton of transactions, almost every single mock draft had a wide receiver going to Arizona. They had a huge need of wide receiver. Their number one receiver was Christian Kirk. They needed weapons for that explosive offense to grow under Cliff Kingsbury. But as we all know, DeAndre Hopkins is now an Arizona Cardinal. So I don't see wide receiver as a huge need right now for them. So I have them taking one of the best offensive linemen in this draft, Tristan Wirfs out of Iowa from an O-line factory. He's ready to play. He's a big, strong, nasty guy. O-line is probably their biggest need right now, so that's a perfect fit.
Wow, what a great choice. Hey, and for this next pick, we got pick number 9. I'm going to send you all the way down to Jacksonville where you got those young bucks. You got Tony Khan, and you got the Jacksonville Jaguars. They have the 9th pick, and they are now on the clock.
Yeah, as you alluded to, the Jacksonville Jaguars right now are under a little scrutiny with, some things going on Twitter lately. And get to draft night, and what are you going to do here? You're going to take the best player on the board who's available. You're a rebuilding team. There's no question about that. You have a very young quarterback who it looks like you're going with the Gardner Minshew route. So what do? You draft the best player in this draft right now available to you, who is Derek Brown. He is a defensive tackle out of Auburn. He is an elite run stopper. He is a force up the middle. And if you're playing a 3-man line, he could come off the edge too. So he is very versatile. It's a great pick for Jacksonville. And it just fills another need and on a rebuilding team. No brainer.
Well, that's a very, very exciting pick. Hey, and I like the little jab you said with the elite, because as we know, the Jacksonville Jaguars, anything having to do with the town of Jacksonville, they are all elite. And for this next pick, we got pick number 10. We have the Cleveland Browns. Let's see where they go.
Now, the Browns last year, they were a dumpster fire. They were all over the place. They had Super Bowl expectations by some after 2 years prior going 0-16. So I think everything is fine in Cleveland, though. This is fine. They are going to ignore the fires. They're going to put some of them out by picking Andrew Thomas from Georgia, the offensive tackle. This guy was the number 1 tackle on most people's boards all offseason. He's a beast. He shut down K'Lavon Chaisson in the game they had against LSU this year. who is a very talented pass rusher. So I think he'll be able to handle the speed and size of the NFL. I think he'll be a great addition to the offensive line, and he'll help Baker Mayfield have one of his best seasons as a pro.
Well, that's an exciting pick. Hey, and let's see for these Browns if they can turn it around. They have a lot of exciting young talent. Let's see where they go. But I'll tell you what, for this next pick, I do know one person in particular who is very, very excited. And I'm going to go with pick number 11. You have the New York Jets, and they are now on the clock.
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez. So if you're the Jets or one of their fans like I am, you are not happy with how the board shook out. There's the top 3 offensive linemen, Wills, Wirfs, and Andrew Thomas are all off the board. And the Jets, they have addressed offensive line of free agency, but they still need that big guy, that go-to guy, that lockdown offensive lineman. And I personally, if the board shakes this way, would want to see them go receiver, since they let Robbie Anderson go in free agency. They can go for Jerry Jeudy, CeeDee Lamb. But this is realistic, and what I think they're going to do is take the next best offensive lineman, which is Mekhi Becton out of Louisville. He's the largest human in the draft, and he's big, nasty mauler. Size is unbelievable. He ran a sub 540. So, I mean, it's a lot of risk with this pick, but, I mean, it's the best offensive lineman available, and Joe Douglas, GM of the Jets, wants to go offensive line here if he can, and he's going to take one of these top 4 if they're there. So he's the best available.
Wow. What an exciting and such an amazing pick from you, Andrew. Now, for this next pick, we got pick number 12, and we're going to go all the way to Las Vegas, a place where I wish I was at right now. We got the Las Vegas Raiders, and they are next, and they are now on the clock.
Yeah, soon enough, Pablo, you'll be back in Las Vegas partying it up. But for now, the Las Vegas Raiders are going to be partying it up because they pick their number 1 need, a glaring issue that everyone's talking about, and that's wide receiver. Dream scenario, you're at number 12 here, and Jerry Jeudy's on the board. He's the best receiver in the class. I am a CeeDee Lamb homer. Don't get me wrong, but I know Jerry Jeudy is the best wide receiver in this class. You look at his size, his speed, his route running. It's just all off the charts. One of the best wide receiver prospects we've seen in maybe 5 to 10 years. He's going to be an absolute force. You pair him up with Tyrell Williams, who is a good receiver, but there is no question Derek Carr needs to progress further, and having a guy like Jerry Jeudy will only help him do that.
Well, I absolutely love that pick, and I'll tell you what, the goal is to stop points. But I'll tell you what, if you got a team that can score some points, you're not doing too bad, you know? So with this next pick, I got a team that came just short last season. And I'll tell you what, if they make a very exciting pick this season, who knows? They might win. Now I got the San Francisco 49ers. They have lucky number 13, and they are now on the clock.
Yes, I'm in front of the Golden Gate Bridge here, where I'm going to be making the pick for the NFC champion San Francisco 49ers. Number 13, my lucky number, and this is a very lucky number for the 49ers. Dan said Jerry Jeudy is the best wide receiver in this class, but most NFL teams are not agreeing with that because a lot of teams have Henry Ruggs III as the best, and that's who the 49ers will go with. I think that Kyle Shanahan can really scheme this guy around, and he will be one of the best weapons in the NFL inside this offense. CeeDee Lamb would be a possible pick as well. I think he would also be a great addition to this offense, but I think Henry Ruggs III is the pick here, and that's who I'm going with for the 49ers.
Wow, great pick. And I'll tell you what, for this next pick, we got pick number 14, and we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Let's see where they go. They are now on the clock.
Now, I expect one of the teams in the draft to move up for this guy that I'm going to take, because the Buccaneers, they had one of the most explosive offenses in the league last year. So they really got to address that defense, and the best defensive back available, they're going to take C.J. Henderson out of Florida. I expect someone like the Falcons to trade up and try to grab him because he should not be here at 14. But since he is, that's a slam dunk home run pick for the Buccaneers. They can't go wrong with this. It addresses a huge need. It's great value. It's just, you can't go wrong with that.
Well, that's very true. And I'll tell you what, at number 15, we have the Denver Broncos. Let's see where they go. They are now on the clock.
And, I was just talking about the Raiders, and it's funny how similar these two teams are coming into this draft, because you have another young quarterback in Drew Lock, and you have another receiver that's pretty good, Cortland Sutton, who's been proving himself, but there's no question that they need another receiver to help him out. And here it goes to my homer pick, CeeDee Lamb, who I love and I've watched so much out of Oklahoma. You just watch the guy, and once he gets an inch of space, he's off to the races. His flexibility in tight windows is unbelievable because he could just dance wherever he wants. So CeeDee Lamb, get your skis, get your snowboard. It's time to go to Denver and time to ski it up there.
Well, it comes with great honor to announce pick number 16. Number 16 is my favorite number. And I'm going to fly all the way down to Atlanta here. Let's see where the Falcons go. They have the 16th pick, and they are now on the clock.
Pablo, number 16, in your honor, I am joined by three of the best people in music and Atlanta natives, the Migos. They are joining me for this pick. The Atlanta natives are here for their Atlanta Falcons. They want Cam Newton as the quarterback, but they're not going to get him. And the Falcons are going to go with cornerback Jeff Gladney. Now, I do think the Falcons will try to make an effort to trade up. They need a cornerback badly after releasing Desmond Trufant. Jeff Gladney is somebody who many are not expecting to go this high up in the draft. But here I have him going to the Atlanta Falcons at 16. I think he could be an early riser in the draft because cornerback is very thin, and a lot of teams need that position. So this could be seen as a reach, but with the Falcons set at a lot of other positions, they could go defensive line, but I'm going to give him Jeff Gladney from TCU.
Wow, thank you, Steve, for that amazing pick. And at number 17, we have the Dallas Cowboys. They are next, and they are now on the clock.
So the quote-unquote America's team is going to take Clavon Chason out of LSU. They have some solid linebackers on their core. This just solidifies their edge. They have guys like Leighton Vander Esch and Sean Lee who miss games every year. That just solidifies that defense. They'll have a nasty pass rush. That defense kind of held them back a little bit last year because their offense was putting up a lot of points. So, I mean, getting a lot better of a pass rush will really help them out to kind of, right the wrongs they made last year. And hopefully, I know there's a lot of Cowboys fans listening to this. They don't go 8-8 again.
Well, at pick number 18, we have a team that already did have a pick in this draft. And I'll tell you what, now they have a second chance to solidify that team of theirs. And I got to go with the Miami Dolphins at pick number 18. They are now on the clock.
Yeah, we're back in Miami, and we're back with a rebuilding team. So what do? Like I've been saying, the theme of this, you get the best available player. You look at the Miami Dolphins, and there's no question their defense needs a little help. Their defense has gotten a lot better, but when you add a guy like Javon Kinlaw out of South Carolina, you shore up your defensive tackle position because this guy is going to be an elite pass rusher in the middle of the force. No question about it. He has long arms. He has amazing size, and he's very quick. Once he is a little raw, but once he starts to work with Brian Flores, I could see him developing into a very good pass rusher in this league.
Well, at pick number 19, we're heading back to Sin City. We are heading back to the City of Angels. We are heading back to Las Vegas. And I'll tell you what, at pick number 19, we got the Las Vegas Raiders.
Now, when you're in Vegas, one of the most popular things to do there is to play some blackjack. And I know a lot of our listeners love to play some blackjack. At 19, you're not going to want to hit. But if you do, you're pretty ballsy. So I think the Raiders are going to want to stand here. They're going to stay at pick 19. And they're going to go with another cornerback. I just mocked at number 16, Jeff Gladney. So some may also see this as a little bit of a reach. But the Raiders are very thin at that position. I'm going to go A.J. Terrell from Clemson. That's the pick for Vegas. I think he comes in, he helps that defense where you need to cover wide receivers. The Broncos are getting CeeDee Lamb. They have Drew Lock throwing all over the place. Patrick Mahomes is in that division. You need somebody who can come in and shut down Tyreek Hill, shut down CeeDee Lamb, shut down Cortland Sutton. They get their guy here. They don't risk too much, but they're going with A.J. Terrell.
Well, what a very exciting pick. And I love that little jab at the blackjack. I love that reference. I'm a huge blackjack player, as most of you guys are. Now, we're also going to go back to being the elite, and we're going to be all elite. Shout out to my guys over at All Elite Wrestling. At pick number 20, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars. They are now on the clock.
You look just 2 years ago, they had the Jaguars had one of the most fierce defenses in the NFL. They had AJ Boyd, they had Jalen Ramsey, they had to really forces on that secondary. They had that great pass rush. They're going to lose. They already lost those two guys. They're going to lose Ngakwe. So that defense, they need some help. So I'm going to go with the best cornerback that they have available, Christian Fulton out of LSU. I think he's the best DB that's on the board right now. I think it addresses immediate need. So kind of bring some respect back to that Jacksonville defense, because if they don't address that in the draft, they're going to be really struggling next year.
Yeah, it's a great point. And at pick number 21, we got the Philadelphia Eagles. They're making their first pick of this 2020 NFL draft. And let's see where they go, Steve, because I do see that you've got somebody in your backdrop who has a lot to do with the city of Philadelphia, the city of brotherly love. And they have the number 21 pick, and they are now on the clock.
Commissioner Hernandez, thank you. I am joined by Philadelphia legend Meek Mill for this pick. Meek is going to select Justin Jefferson from LSU, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, this guy, he won't be a nightmare for you Eagles fans. He's going to be like a dream because he is fantastic. He is going to provide Carson Wentz with some much-needed help. Last season, he had Greg Ward Jr. as one of his number one wide receivers. Little known fact about Greg Ward Jr., he was a quarterback before he went to the NFL. Now, this ain't Julian Edelman I'm talking about. He had a nice season, but he should not go in as Carson Wentz's number one target because rumors has it that Alshon Jeffrey won't be an Eagle. So Justin Jefferson's going to come in, and he's going to help out Carson Wentz a lot this season.
Wow, I wasn't expecting that. And at pick number 22, we're going to head over to Mr. Dan DeLucia, and we're going to see where he goes with pick number 22. We've got the Minnesota Vikings, and they are now on the clock.
Yeah, it's finally time for the Minnesota Vikings to draft. And come draft night, I don't think this player is going to be available to them, and Xavier McKinney. He's the best safety in this class, no question about it. And why I'm picking that, because they already have two elite safeties right now in Anthony Harris and Harrison Smith. But Anthony Harris just got the franchise tag, and he's looking for a long-term deal. And the Vikings right now don't really have the cap space to accommodate that. So what they're going to look to do is trade him to another team. And when you bring in a guy like Xavier McKinney, it just shores up everything. He's going to be able to play with Harrison Smith so well because he is so versatile. Like I said, I don't expect him to be here. And if he's not here, I could see the Vikings trading back because one of their needs is wide receiver. And this is such a deep wide receiver class moving into the second round. But dream scenario, we take Xavier McKinney here.
Well, with the number 23 pick, and, right now, guys, we're in the home stretch of this draft. I mean, we're moving along fairly quickly. And at number 23, we're going to go with arguably America's team. We're going to go with the dominant, the most infamous team in all of the National Football League. We're going to go with the New England Patriots at pick number 23. They are now on the clock, and let's see where they go.
I don't know about America's team. Let's relax with that. So I think the Patriots at 23 is one of the most, if not the most intriguing pick in the draft because it's 23. So whoever says they know how the board's going to shake out to them is a liar. I think the way that it shakes out right now, you look at the Patriots, new uniforms, Tom Brady's gone. They got serious question marks at quarterback. And who's sitting there at 23? Jordan Love out of Utah State. This is the perfect guy to take late in the first round. You can groom him for a year. You have Jarrett Stidham, who's been in the offense. He can run the show for a year. If he looks good, then great. If not, then you have a prime, raw, lot of talent in Jordan Love. He has a cannon for an arm. Bill Belichick, Bill Belichick can definitely get the most out of him. He can kind of fix those turnover issues that he had at Utah State. So this is just a pure upside pick. And with the Patriots, it's hard to doubt them to groom a quarterback like this.
Well, for this next pick, we're taking a detour, and we're going to be heading back to the city of New Orleans. And I'll tell you what, at pick number 24, we got the New Orleans Saints, and they are now on the clock. Let's see where they go.
Yeah, I got a little New Orleans colors on, just realized that, but that's okay. Just came back from New Orleans more than a month ago, and what I saw, they need an interior linebacker. And on my board, I believe Kenneth Murray is the best available here. Kenneth Murray, watching him at Oklahoma, has exceptional speed for a middle linebacker. He has great closing speed. He could burst through gaps exceptionally well. He has to work on his hands a little bit. But what I love about him is he's very good at QB spying, and that's going to work so well in the NFL. It's a great pick here for it's Kenneth Murray. you could compare him to Queen all you want, but personally, I think Murray has the edge in this draft, and that's why I see him going to the New Orleans Saints.
Well, at pick number 25, we're going to be heading back to Minnesota, and the Vikings, they have the 25th pick. They are now on the clock.
And here I am again. Who would have thought me with the Minnesota Vikings picking again? And like I said, if it does work out, they get Xavier McKinney. Maybe they move back here because they want the receiver. But like I said, there's no trades in this scenario that we're doing here. And one of the glaring needs the Minnesota Vikings need right now is AJ Epinesa, because you just lose Everson Griffin on your defensive line. You lose your interior lineman and Linval Joseph. There's needs on the line. AJ Epinesa is a great pass rusher from the outside. I could see him really working well in a Mike Zimmer defense. It's a glaring need. You got to keep going with defense because you lost so many pieces on the defensive side of the ball compared to the offensive side of the ball. So, Mike Zimmer, I know you very well. I know you're going 2 first-round picks with defense if you're not trading back. AJ Epinesa, great player out of Iowa.
At pick number 26, we're heading back to Miami. And I'll tell you what, these Dolphins, they're having a very scary draft, and they have the potential to put together one of the best draft classes we have ever seen. And at number 26, they are now on the clock.
Yeah, it's not often you see a team with 3 first-round picks. You look at who they drafted so far. They've addressed the defense. They got the quarterback of the future. So what are they going to do once they have their quarterback of the future? They're going to get some protection for him. They're going to take Cesar Ruiz out of Michigan, the best center in this class. I think he's been shooting up a lot of people's boards. People are saying he's going to be more of a second-round pick. But I think it's a pretty solid bet that he's going to be a first-round pick this year. And at 26, that's perfect. Get your protection for Tua. He's oft injured. You need as much protection. You need to build up the offensive line as much as possible. You traded away Laramie Tunsil, so you still need a left tackle, but center's still a glaring hole for them. So addressing it at 26, that's an instant starter right there.
Well, a very exciting pick, AM. And at number 27, we are going to Seattle, and we are going to see where the Seattle Seahawks are picking, and they are now on the clock.
Thank you, Commissioner Hernandez. And for the Seattle Seahawks pick, I'm joined by Daniel Bryan, Seattle native, Giant Seahawks fan. And I think after this pick, all you Seahawks fans will be chanting yes in your own house, of course, this year. And the pick will be Yetur Gross-Matos, defensive end from Penn State. Now, that's a hell of a name for a hell of a player. The Seattle Seahawks were second to last behind only the Miami Dolphins in sacks last year. They even had less sacks than my New York Giants, and that's a little sad. And they lost their best defensive player in Jadeveon Clowney. So, well, we don't know if they're going to lose him, but right now we're going to say they lost him. So I think they try to replace him. Even if they bring Clowney back, they're going to need some more pass rushers. Yetur Gross-Matos can develop into one of the best in the league. He's one of my favorite prospects in this draft. If the New York Giants trade back, I would love them to get Yetur Gross-Matos. I don't know if he'll be here at 27. I think he might be a riser in this draft. I think Dallas might look to pick him instead of Caleb Von Chasson. And my French is really on point. And so I'm going to go with Yetur Gross-Matos for the Seattle Seahawks at number 27.
Well, at pick number 28, we're going to be heading to Baltimore. We're going to see if they could complete some unfinished business they had last season. And Steve, let's see where you go. We got the Baltimore Ravens at pick number 28. They are now on the clock.
Yeah, lucky you. You get me twice in a row. And my pick for the Ravens is Patrick Queen. And that's why I have Ray Lewis joining me for this pick, because he will be the best linebacker the Ravens had since Ray Lewis. I know C.J. Mosley was there. I know Andrew might not want to hear that, but I think that Patrick Queen, they need to replace Mosley. Mosley did an admirable job replacing Ray Lewis, but I think Patrick Queen will step into that role, and he'll be the linebacker of the future for the Baltimore Ravens. Queen is going to be a hot commodity. Whoever doesn't get Kenneth Murray will be very happy with Patrick Queen.
At pick number 29, we have the terrific Tennessee Titans, and they have the 29th pick, and they are now on the clock.
Yeah, Steve, I don't think he's going to reach C.J. Mosley territory. Let's calm down on that. But you look at the Tennessee Titans, and they can go a few directions here. I thought about taking a safety for them. Grant Delpit's still on the board, but you see what they did in free agency. They let Jack Conklin walk in free agency to the Browns, so that leaves them a big need to tackle. So I haven't taken Josh Jones out of Houston. I think 29 is actually pretty low for him. I think he's the fifth best tackle in the draft. And since 4 tackles are going in the top 11, you can easily see Josh Jones going earlier than 29. But if he's there, I think it's a good fit. You can slide him to the right side, replace Conklin, solidify the O-line that wants to ground and pound and get that offense moving like it was last year.
At pick number 30, shout out to Will Alvarez with the Green Bay Packers. They are now on the clock.
Yeah, my biggest foe, my biggest fear, the Green Bay Packers. And here we are talking about Aaron Rodgers once again. When aren't we talking about Aaron Rodgers? But his biggest problem last year was, who am I throwing to? You have Devontae Adams, an exceptional receiver. But you look at the Green Bay Packers last year and the amount of drop passes they had, the amount of yards they lost that Aaron Rodgers would have had gained if they weren't dropping so many passes. So what do? You bring in a huge receiver in T. Higgins out of Clemson. He's a 6'4" guy. You get him down the field. Aaron Rodgers got the cannon of an arm. He could throw it down to him, catch anything since he's so damn tall. T. Higgins, not the fastest guy, not the most athletic, not the best route runner. But when you're talking about a raw talent and how big he is, I think Aaron Rodgers could get along with him very well. And it's a glaring issue for the Green Bay Packers, a no-brainer to take a wide receiver. And right now, the favorite on their board is T. Higgins out of Clemson.
Well, definitely. And for Aaron Rodgers, he will go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And let's see if they can potentially build a team around him before he goes and he's got to go the way of the fat lady. But I'll tell you what, at pick number 31, we're going back to San Francisco, and we got the San Francisco 49ers. Let's see where they go.
Last year for the NFL draft, as you see behind me, we were there. We were in Nashville. We were having a good time. This year, on the other hand, I've been to a bunch of different cities just in this mock draft. As you can see, if you're watching on YouTube, my backgrounds have been changing. And I'm back in front of the Golden Gate Bridge in San Francisco, where the Niners, I will pick for them again. Earlier, I got them Henry Ruggs III, and I'm going back to Alabama with Trayvon Diggs. You may know his brother Stephon just got traded to the Buffalo Bills. Trayvon Diggs has a fantastic NFL future. This guy is going to be a great cornerback, and the San Francisco 49ers need somebody to pair on the opposite side of Richard Sherman. If Richard Sherman could cover everybody, they would have won the Super Bowl, but Tyreek Hill got loose, and the rest is history. The Kansas City Chiefs are Super Bowl champions. They will find somebody to help out on the weak side. Richard Sherman, he has one side locked down. Trayvon Diggs, he'll get the other, and the Niners are back in business.
Yep, that's a very interesting point, Steve. And at number 32, we have none other than the best of the best. We have the Super Bowl champions. We have the Kansas City Chiefs, and they are going to wrap up day one of the 2020 NFL Draft mock with Before the Score. And I would like to thank you. Before we make this final pick, I would like to thank you for an outstanding draft. And to all those watching at home and around the world, we just want to tell you guys to be safe.
Hey, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs, you look at their roster, they don't have a ton of glaring holes. They can definitely use more help on the defensive side of the ball, but they played pretty well last year. They have arguably the best offense in football. So let's get fun with it. Let's add to that offense. And their biggest unit offense right now is probably at running back. I mean, Damian Williams did a hell of a job in the playoffs. He did more than they could ever ask him to do coming over from Miami. So, but what I have him doing is drafting a long-term replacement, a guy who can replace Kareem Hunt, unlike Sean McCoy and Damian Williams tried doing last year. I have him taking DeAndre Swift out of Georgia. You look at Swift, and he's the explosive back that is exactly what Andy Reid wants in that offense. He's explosive. He's a perfect fit for that offense. That Kansas City offense, it would be scary with DeAndre Swift. So for the sake of getting to watch them sometimes, actually not when they play the Jets next year, but besides that game, it's going to be fun to watch that offense run with DeAndre Swift.
Well, guys, I mean, that wraps up the draft portion of this show. And that was a very, very entertaining Before the Score, our first time ever draft special. But you know how it is on Before the Score. We always have a few questions that we answer before we go off the air. And this week I will, of course, as I have been the entire evening, I have been taking over as the commissioner, the host of episode 19 of Before the Score Draft Special. And I have a few questions. Now, this first question comes from GG Talk Sports. It says, who do you think is a sleeper in the draft? Guys?
I have a sleeper in this draft, and this is a deep, deep sleeper, possibly an undrafted sleeper, and that is Lynn Bowden Jr. from Kentucky. If you know Lynn Bowden Jr., you knew 2 years ago he was a wide receiver, and last year he was a quarterback. I actually wrote about him in an article for Villain Media, and I think he is going to be a great pick for whoever gets Lynn Bowden Jr. This guy can play the Taysom Hill role better than Taysom Hill even can, in my opinion, and I think he will be a weapon for whoever picks him.
Well, at question number 2, it comes from Dave Stalty, and he says, should the Falcons trade up? I don't think this team is currently one player away. Let's hear your thoughts, guys.
Now, should they trade up and will they trade up are two different questions. I think they will trade up. It's hard to predict that any scenario would be a trade up, but I think all the smoke, where there's smoke, there's fire with Atlanta. I really see them trading up for defensive back. They lost Trufant. They need some help on defense. And you're right, they need more than one player. They're not a player away. So I think they shouldn't, but I think they will.
Well, when you look, like you just said, cornerback, D-back, whatever you want to call it, definitely their biggest glaring issue. And if CJ Henderson starts to fall, why wouldn't you trade up? I mean, you're here at 16. If he's there at 13 where the 49ers are and they want to trade back, I would give the 49ers a call and see if he could get to that 13th spot and take CJ Henderson.
Yeah, I don't think that they're one player away. I do agree with that. But the Falcons, of all teams, they have a great history of trading up and hitting on that pick. They traded up for Julio Jones, and that looks like a king's ransom now. So I think Thomas Dimitroff, if he sees a player he loves, he'll go and get him. If he's trading up for CJ Henderson, I wouldn't really do that. I don't think he's worth that many first-round picks. But if you're trading up for a guy like Isaiah Simmons or Derek Brown, I think that might be a move to make.
Well, our next question comes from Talakaisi 28, and he says, who goes drafted first? And I'm pretty sure we already answered this. Well, or Herbert. Guys, let's kind of rewind here before the score.
Well, I'll take this real quick because I was with the Chargers here at 6, and I've been really adamant about the Chargers moving up to 3. Not that I think that Justin Herbert is a better quarterback than Tua. I just think it's what the position the Chargers in and what they have on their board. And I really think that Herbert is going to be drafted over Tua first, which I think is a very grave mistake. You look at the history of the Los Angeles Chargers, making poor choices at quarterback, letting Phillip Rivers come to their team for Eli Manning. Maybe they should have told the Giants, hey, we like Ben Roethlisberger a little more. Maybe you should trade him so we could get him instead of Eli. The Chargers make problems at quarterback. They haven't gone anywhere with Phillip Rivers. I don't know if Justin Herbert's the pick, but for the sake of this, I really think that they're going to take Herbert over Tua.
Well, thank you for answering that question. And for this next pick, we're going over here to Trevor Pucciarello. And this question is for me. It says, is Trevor Lawrence the most underrated player in this year's draft? Now, guys, I'm not going to fall for this again. Now, Trevor Lawrence, maybe in terms of the 2021 draft, he might be a underrated player depending on how his season goes, if there even is a season. But as of right now, it's really too early to tell. But I really caught that. And thank you once again, Trevor, for tuning into the show. And that brings us to our last question. This is from Chris Nunez, and this is a different type of question. He asks, how will we cope without hearing boos when Goodell picks? When Goodell reads the picks. Now, I'll actually answer this because today I am your reigning and defending commissioner. I personally think, and thank you for that, I personally think that, we are all kind of defeated by not having any type of sports. So I know at home everybody's going to be booing Roger Goodell, and even if we don't see it on TV, we're still going to have the same type of feeling, same type of animosity towards the guy. But just give the guy a break, Us commissioners, we have it rough.
Well, also Bud Light is doing boo for booze, basically. So you sent a video booing the commissioner It's going to go the NFL Draft-a-thon to raise money. So I love how Roger Goodell is being a good sport about the whole thing. So I think that will be awesome to see as well. And I also want to say, Pablo, I'm glad you learned Trevor Lawrence isn't in this draft.
Yeah, put hashtag boo the commissioner at Bud Light and send your best video of booing Roger Goodell.
Well, guys, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in.
One more thing before we sign off. I just wanted to give a quick shout out to two people from our hometown who will be eligible to be drafted in this year's draft. It's Miles Hartsfield, defensive back from Ole Miss, and Corey Williams, defensive back from Wesley College. These are two great kids who grew up right here in Saraville, New Jersey. And I think that any team would be lucky to have two high character guys like that. And I wish good luck to you guys. And I hope to hear your names called on one of these draft days.
Good luck, guys.
Yes, absolutely. And from the Before the Score family, I would also like to wish you guys the best of luck. And as your commissioner of Before the Score, episode 19, NFL Mock Draft Special, I just want to thank everyone for tuning in and for listening to a bunch of these guys. This podcast is called Before the Score, but we would be nothing without the love and support of all the fans out there who just continue to watch and and continue to grow this channel even more. And we are not done. And Steve, let's hear about something the fans should expect in the next few days.
Yeah, in the next few days, we are going to be releasing an entire draft review on Sunday. So we'll have that for you guys. And then we'll have episode, I believe this is 19, 20, so 21 will be the week after that. So a lot of Before the Score content's coming out for you guys in the next week or so. So watch out for that. Make sure you watch this video, watch every other video, because we're not stopping anytime soon. Thanks for the support as well.
Yes. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in. Before the Score, out. Peace out, guys.